وهبت له من قبل الله تعالى. وعليكم السلام.
ما شاء الله. السلام عليكم وأهلا وسهلا. السلام عليكم. ما شاء الله. مبارك हो ये ठीक है
رشاد كسر فلاح
صدر رشاد. How are you? Fine. MashaAllah, it's so wonderful to see 4 young Arabs. MashaAllah. Please. And 3 Arab ladies. It makes a full Surah Fatiha. Huh? So, shall we start, please? Have you already finished that?
Yes.
Okay. He's doing a wonderful job now, mashallah. Do you ever listen to this program?
Yeah.
And what's your fair, honest comments? Unprejudiced comments.
نحن الآن فقط من جديد نشاهد عن كثب لأن لم نشاهد قبل.
طبعا. What about this جديد مشاهدة?
الحمد لله الحمد لله.
Good.
كلهم مبسوطين الحمد
لله. He's doing very well.
الحمد لله.
When he came, his English was very poor, and it was difficult to understand English fully. Now his Urdu is very good too. Fantastic. So shall we start, please? You are the moderator. Huh?
Yes, if I would like to add more to yesterday's question was asked at the
About
if everything happening in a person's life predestined by God Almighty.
that's right. Yes. You would like to hear some more about it.
Yes, please.
You know, destiny is the most complicated thing which has ever been attempted by man to understand. That is why Hazrat Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam strongly discouraged overmuch contemplation over the issue of destiny, which has the danger of misleading you even away from God, because it's not within the capacity of everyone to understand the intricacies of this subject. This has been baffling the minds of philosophers from the times immemorial. This has been baffling the religious scholars of various religions. They want to find out how to explain the justification of destiny. So on this to this I'll return later after he's translated. Yes.
لقد سأل الأخ بعد إذا كان لدى حضرة أمير المؤمنين أي من المعلومات أو الملاحظات التي تتعلق بموضوع القدر، فقال حضرة أمير المؤمنين القدر هو أو التقدير من قبل الله سبحانه وتعالى هو من الأمور الأكثر تعقيدا والتي حاول الإنسان فهمها. لذلك الرسول صلى الله عليه وسلم لم يحبذ النقاش والجدال في هذه الأمور، لأن ليس في طاقة كل إنسان فهم هذه الأمور، وهذه الأمور أيضا أربكت الكثير من الفلاسفة والعلماء الذين حاولوا تعريف القدر وإعطاء بعض المعلومات عليه.
Now they face the major problem in believing, first of all, in absolute goodness of God. And there, every religion is unanimous on the issue of perfection of God's attributes. There's no flaw whatsoever. And also He's a good God, He's a benign God, He's a beneficent God, and all this. Now in the issue of predestiny, they find 2 problems. Number 1, the human misery and suffering. How can you justify suffering to have been created by a God who claims to be Ar-Rahman Ar-Rahim, the most beneficent and oft repeating with mercy? So how could He create suffering and sorrow and misery and accidents and early death of children while the mourning mothers are left behind, death of husbands while leaving behind, mourning families and so on? So these are the issues which have been bothering the philosophers of all ages, believers in particular. The other is the evil in man, if we find some men to be extremely evil, then who created the evil? That is the point. And if God created the evil, then how can you call him a just, honest, and beneficent God who has only the source of goodness in him? There is nothing of evil in him. How could darkness be born out of light? This is the question. So, another question is, if it is predestined, then all the evil people will be punished for no crime of theirs, because they were created like this. They could not defy the will of God. How could they? If they are punished for the evil which was created in them by God, the only crime they commit is obedience. You see? And if they are not obedient and they become good, then they defy the verdict of God, and then they will not be punished. So there is no logic in that. So issues like these have been perplexing the human mind, those of philosophers, those of the religious leaders, as well as those who disbelieve in God. They particularly take up these issues. And there are religions born out of this dilemma, with an attempted philosophy to keep the image of a perfect God intact and yet permit these things to happen in the world. Out of these religions, the most important and the prominent is Zoroastrian religion, Zarathushtri. They have attempted to solve the problem by believing in two independent gods. Both have to be eternal. One is eternally bad, the other is eternally good. So the eternally bad is responsible for all the evil in the world. He is the creator of darkness, he is the creator of ugliness, he is the creator of ill will and human atrocities, dispensity towards crime and atrocities and cruelty. He creates all these things. And God, the good, he creates all the good things. So a strange philosophy, although they seem to get rid of the problem, but they create more problems. How do they join hands in creating man by taking their share equally? Then good God must go into collusion and conspiracy with the bad God. That all right, I work on this child, I do my part of goodness and leave it to you. Now you do it as you please. So if there is an understanding, then the good God is also responsible for that. You see? If there is no understanding, then there should be a fight. Some children should be made entirely good by the influence of the good God, and some entirely bad under the influence of the bad God. So whichever way they try to exonerate God by creating an evil God, still they simply can't resolve the problem. This is a basic essential problem of contradictions. Now remember, the Holy Quran claims there is no contradiction in God. So whichever explanation leads us to contradictions has to be rejected. But enough for this young man, It's a complicated subject, I don't want to add I don't want him to add more perplexities for himself. Already it's quite complicated. Please.
لقد قال حضرة أمير المؤمنين إن هؤلاء الناس الذين يحاولون تفسير هذا الموضوع يواجهون مشكلة كبيرة، فيحاولون حفظ وصيانة صفات الله سبحانه وتعالى على أنه إله رحمن ورحيم ورؤوف كذلك. ولكن المعاناة، كيف نفسر المعاناة الإنسانية التي يعاني منها الكثير من الناس؟ فكيف تنطبق هذه المعاناة التي يخلقها الله سبحانه وتعالى على صفاته الرحمانية والرحيمية؟ فهذا الشيء لا يأتي من قبل ذلك الرحمن، ولكنهم وكذلك الأولاد الذين يولدون بظروف صعبة، أين كانت رحمانية الله سبحانه وتعالى ورحيميته ورأفته على هؤلاء الأولاد؟ فهذا سؤال أربك الجميع، ليس فقط الفلاسفة وإنما القادة الدينيين أيضا، وكذلك الأحداث التي تحدث للإنسان أثناء حياته. وكذلك ذكر حضرة أمير المؤمنين الشيطان أو القوة الشيطانية الموجودة في داخل الإنسان. فإذا كان الله سبحانه وتعالى هو الذي خلق تلك القوة الشيطانية داخل الإنسان، فكيف لله سبحانه وتعالى أن يخلق شيئا كهذا مع صفاته الكاملة؟ وأن كيف نسمي الله سبحانه وتعالى عادلا ورحيما؟ وكيف يخلق؟
How can we exonerate God? How can we take the responsibility away from Him if He is also the creator of evil? So, a good God who creates evil and lets it loose, he must share the responsibility. You know, that is the problem.
يقول حضرة أمير المؤمنين وصححني وقال: فكيف نأخذ أو تنزل هذه المسؤولية عن الله سبحانه وتعالى؟ فهذه المسؤولية تقع على كتفي الله سبحانه وتعالى، لأنه هو الذي خلق تلك القوى الشيطانية والتي سمح لها في أن تضل المؤمنين عن سبيلهم. فإن ذلك الإله سيكون مسؤولا عن هذه الأمور أيضا. فكل إنسان ذوي الصفات الشيطانية لا يحاسبون حسب أعمالهم حسب هذا المنطق، لأن هذا ما قدره لهم الله سبحانه وتعالى. ففي آخر المطاف وفي النهاية لن يحاسبون هؤلاء الناس على هذه الأعمال الذين قاموا بها، لأنهم قاموا فقط بطاعة وطاعة الله سبحانه وتعالى، لأن ذلك ما قدره لهم الله سبحانه وتعالى. وإذا حاولوا في أن يقوموا بالأعمال الجيدة فإنهم يحاولون في أن يناقضوا أو يردوا قدر الله سبحانه وتعالى لهم في محاولتهم للقيام بالأعمال الجيدة. فلا منطق في ذلك التفسير وفي تلك الفلسفة. فهذه الأمور كما ذكرنا أربكت الجميع من القادة الدينيين والفلاسفة. ولكن قال حضرته وذكر أن في فلسفة أخرى يحاولون هؤلاء المؤمنون الذين يؤمنون بالله سبحانه وتعالى ويحاولون حفظ وصيانة صفات الله سبحانه وتعالى، يحاولون تفسير هذا الموضوع بطرق مختلفة ومع صيانتهم لله الرحمن والرحيم والحفاظ على صفاته الكلية. وقال حضرته وذكر أن هنالك Huzur mentioned one religious sect
زرتشتي.
ذكر حضرته لقد ذكر حضرته أيضا جماعة دينية تدعى الزردشتيين.
The Iranians were for the followers of Zoroastrian religion who kept the fires alight. What do you call that in Arabic? Huh? Majusi. Al-Majus of Iran, of Persia, who dominated Iran before the invasion, before the conquest by Islam. So, you know, they kept the fire alight all the time because they thought it was a symbol of God the good, and darkness was a symbol of God the bad. So these were the two gods. Majusiyin.
ولقد ذكر حضرته وقال أن هؤلاء وكما قيل لي هنا أنهم يدعون المجوسيين، والذي قال حضرته أنهم كانوا يسيطرون على البلاد الإيرانية، والذين كانوا يؤمنون بالإله الجيد والإله إله النور وإله الظلمات. فهذا وكانوا يعبدون أو يشعلون النار دائما تعبيرا عن ذلك الإله الجيد وإله النور. وقال حضرته أن هذا الملك اجتيح من قبل المسلمين فيما بعد. وقال أنهم هؤلاء الناس يؤمنون بإلهين، فإن إله واحد مسؤول عن جميع الأعمال السيئة والقبيحة كالظلم والمعاناة وغيرها من هذه الأمور، وهنالك إله آخر مسؤول عن كل الأعمال الطيبة والجيدة. فبهذا يحاولون حل هذه المشكلة. ولكن قال حضرة أمير المؤمنين بتقسيم أو إعطاء أو عبادة إلهين اثنين أو اتخاذ إلهين اثنين يجعل أمورا أكثر بالنسبة لهذا الموضوع. فذكر حضرته على سبيل المثال عند خلق أي ولد أو أي إنسان، فكيف يتشاطر هذان الإلهين خلق ذلك الطفل. فإن إله النور أو الإله الجيد يضع في ذلك الطفل الصفات الجيدة، وإله الظلمات أو يجعل في ذلك الطفل الصفات الغير جيدة. ولكن هل يكون ذلك عادلا ومنصفا بالصفات الجيدة والصفات الغير جيدة في ذلك الطفل؟ فإذا لم تكن كذلك فإن مسؤولية الإله الجيد الذي لم يعطي الصفات الكافية يتعادل الصفات الغير السيئة، فهذه المسؤولية تقع على كتفيه لأنه لم يهب ذلك الطفل الصفات أو القدرات والطاقات.
Why did he permit the other God to participate in the creation of every person? If the two gods were fighting with each other, they were opposed to each other, why did they collude together? Why did they conspire together to have equal share in the creation of every child? So this is what is wrong, and many a time God the good is overwhelmed by God the bad, and he has only a small share. If a child is born diseased, for instance, is very little very little of the qualities, very few of the qualities of life. Blind, deaf, dumb. This means that God the bad has had the most of it. He has participated in the creation far more than God the good. So these are the objections which still don't leave the Zoroastrians alone. They have to do a lot of answering about this. So that's not no answer. It's illogical.
وقال حضرة أمير المؤمنين كيف هذان الإلهين اتفقا في خلق ذلك الطفل، لأنهم كانا إلهين يتشاجران، فالواحد يدعو إلى الخير ويدعو إلى الطيبات والآخر يدعو إلى الظلمات، فكيف يتفقان على خلق ذلك الطفل؟ فيقول حضرة أمير المؤمنين أيضا أن عندما لماذا إله النور أو الإله الجيد سمح لذلك الإله في أن يشترك في خلق ذلك الطفل؟ وأعطى حضرته مثال وقال بالنسبة لطفل يولد مريضا وليس لديه الطاقات التي توهب لأي طفل عادي كالسمع والبصر وغيرها من الحواس التي تعطي الحياة الكاملة للإنسان أو لذلك الطفل. فهذا يدل على أن ذلك إله السيئات أو إله الظلمات هو الذي تغلب على إله النور أو الله الجيد، والذي جعل تلك الصفات قليلة جدا، والتي تدل على أن الإله الجيد اتخذ أو كان له الاشتراك القليل في خلق ذلك الطفل. فكيف ينطبق ذلك على الإلهين الاثنين؟ فهنا تظهر مشكلة أخرى بالنسبة لهذه الفلسفة للمجوسيين.
Now there are other attempts to resolve this problem by, for instance, Hinduism. They say that God is good and perfect, but He has not created anything. All that He has done is that the spirits and souls who are eternal like He Himself is were roaming free in the space, and also the matter, dead matter, is also eternal. He only participated in bringing them together like a chemist takes two different elements and makes a compound out of that. So he is at best a pharmacist or a chemist who brings the soul and the matter together and molds them into one. But the point is, why does he do it in a manner that some are very poorly made and some are very beautifully made. It is said, it is said of a man who was very ugly and very, shocking in his appearance. When he died, it is a joke, by people who sometimes want to bring the realities home to people by way of jokes. He said when he appeared before God, when inquired from him what he has been doing, he should answer about his actions. So he said, first let me ask you about your actions. What are you? Tell me. Who are you to inquire? He said, I am your creator. He said, is this what you created? The utter ugliness. This is a joke, but it brings home the absurdity of this debate to us again. If he is the creator, he can't run away from the responsibility of whatever he has created. So about the Hindu philosophy, this is again one of the big flaws. If he joins souls and matter together, does he not know how to make them best? Now they are very clever people. They have thought over everything. They have come out with a brilliant answer. He said to begin with, he created the perfection, the very best thing. And he began the life on earth with 4 rishis. Rishis are the holy people. They were just beautifully created, well balanced and equal in every virtue, and they were just the model of goodness. So then when they came to the world, with the passage of time, their offsprings began to grow bad. And when they grew bad, then after they died, they were punished only in the sense that they were reverted in their order from a higher order of life to a lower order. When after the death God remade them, then he made monkeys out of them instead of men. And when the monkeys misbehaved, they were still lowered a notch down. And out of them were born, for instance, dogs and cats and hyenas and lions. And if they were very stupid monkeys who misbehaved, donkeys were made out of them. You see? So God is just according to them. So he repays everything who misbehaves, whatever name you give it. So man or animal, before they are recycled into life, their action is judged, and this is called karma, deeds or amal. So if the amal is saleh, he is created a notch higher than his previous creation. And if the amal is bad, then he is lower down in the scale of creation, until he may reach worms, the stage of worms, I mean. And he can become, say for instance, a tapeworm. So it is just possible that a man, when he dies, he becomes a tapeworm who bites, who lives in the intestine of his own children. You see? So there is no end to this. Karma and its reward, crime and punishment, goodness and reward. This goes on so mixed up in the end that it's impossible to wriggle out of it, of this, this rigmarole. So whatever you do, you can't resolve the basic problem. There has to be something else, right?
لقد ذكر حضرة أمير المؤمنين وقال إن الهندوس يعرضون طريقة أخرى لحل هذا الموضوع، فيقولون إن الله سبحانه وتعالى هو كامل الصفات، ولكنه لم يخلقوا إلا شيء، لم يخلقوا شيئا، فإنه يخلق فقط الأرواح والتي هي أبدية.
Not even arwah. He doesn't create arwah. He catches one ruh by the throat, by the neck, and some matter here from here, and mix them together, and like an apothecary, like a chemist, he creates a compound out of elements. See?
صححني حضرة أمير المؤمنين وقال حتى أنه لا يعتبرون أنه يخلق الأرواح فقط، يقبض روحا ويمزجها مع بمادة أخرى ويخلق وينتج منها الإنسان أو غير ذلك من المخلوقات التي نراها.
No, to begin with, he only creates men, and men of the highest quality. Because if he creates animals and men, then the question of justice will arise. So they want to avoid this. You know, this is why all the intricate scheme of Hindu creation. God creates in the first place the very best of human beings. And some Hindu scholars laugh at the evolutionists. They say, you're very stupid that you believe that man gradually grew, life gradually grew towards perfection. It's exactly the opposite. For perfect man was created first here on earth. And it was only he. Then out of that were born imperfect men and imperfect animals until it reached down the level of amoebas. You know, the worms in the filth, etc. They were all created because of bad actions of the people who lost their goodness. Now you know that?
Yes, yes.
Please explain.
ولقد قال حضرته إن هؤلاء الهندوس يؤمنون على أن الله سبحانه وتعالى في البداية يخلق فقط الإنسان وهو من الدرجة القصوى والعليا من المقام، وبعد ذلك يصل إلى درجات أقل. وذلك قال حضرة أمير المؤمنين على أن الله سبحانه وتعالى وكأنه فقط صيدلي يمزج الأدوية بالأخرى ويجعل منها مادة معينة. فقال حضرته وهذا يقال عن طريق النكتة في أن إذا أن الله سبحانه وتعالى خلق إنسانا قبيح المظهر وأن مظهره قبيحا جدا، وبعد موته يذكرون الناس على سبيل النكتة ليروا ما كان قد قام به الله سبحانه وتعالى أو ما كان شكل ذلك الإنسان. فعندما يسأل ذلك الرجل عن أعماله في يوم الحساب ويقف أمام الله سبحانه وتعالى ويقول الله سبحانه وتعالى ما هي أعمالك أو ما قمت به، فيقول ذلك الرجل لا لحظة من فضلك فدعني أسألك سؤالا واحدا، من أنت ما شأنك بي؟ فيقول الله سبحانه وتعالى أنا خالقك. فيقول ماذا هذا الذي خلقته؟ هذا بهذه خلقته بهذه القباحة؟ فأين يكون
This is the problem, you know. It appears, looks like a joke, but it is a problem.
يقول حضرة أمير المؤمنين هذه نكتة ولكنها تظهر الحقيقة في تلك الفلسفة. فكذلك فإن الله سبحانه وتعالى لم يعرف كيف يمزج هاتان المادتان ليجعل منهما أحسن صورة عوضا عن أن يخلق تلك أو يجعل تلك الصورة القبيحة لذلك الرجل. فإذا هو الخالق فلا يمكن الله سبحانه وتعالى أن يزيح أو يتخلى عن تلك المسؤولية التي وضعت أو التي قام بها الله سبحانه وتعالى تجاه ذلك الرجل. فإن الهندوسيين هم ذوي عقول حادة ويحاولوا التفكير والتغطية عن جميع هذه الأمور التي ظهرت من جراء هذا الاعتقاد. فيقولون إن الإنسان يولد جميلا كاملا لا عيب فيه، ويولد مع أربعة أناس طاهرين في بداية الأمر، ففي حياته تتدهور الحالة الروحانية أو مقام ذلك الرجل. فعندما يأتي إلى نهاية عمره أو نهاية حياته عندما يعاد مرة أخرى إذا كانت أعماله صالحة وطبقا لذلك العمل سيرفع مقامه أكثر، وإذا كانت أعماله أكثر سوءا فيتحول إلى مقام أسوأ.
We have missed one point. The question arises as to how he created man to begin with. If he created perfect men, then how could men become bad later on? And if it were men alone he created, how were the animals born? So if you agree with the proposed plan of evolution as presented by the Western scholars in particular, then again the Hinduism cannot escape criticism, because then God initially created worms and urchins and mosquitoes and insects and dogs and other filthy things as well, powerful things and helpless, defenseless things, and also men. So where is the justice? It is a question of justice which we are confronting. So that is why they have a different plan, not the one as you explained. The plan they present is, it was only 4 great rishis which were created in the beginning of time. There was nothing on earth. And the 4 rishis occupied the Tibetan high plateau, you know, the raised plateau of Tibet. And they were there, created by God, looking down on earth in each direction. And then they began to proliferate. They began to give birth to other humans and children. And as they grew, some of their offsprings misbehaved. So they gave birth to people of a still lower order. So gradually man began to descend from a high quality of performance to a low quality of performance. And as it degraded, when he died and was reborn, then there were 2 choices for God. One, to create a man out of him again, or a woman out of him again. But this time, instead of being a person with all the best physical qualities and physical qualities and attributes, next time, by way of punishment, he may be born with 1 leg, with 1 eye, or without any eye, or deaf, or dumb. So it was not unjust on the part of God. It was because he was being punished for his previous crimes. So this is the meaning of reincarnation. This is the purpose of reincarnation. Every human being who misbehaved out of the progeny of the rishis, who were 4 perfect men, he is punished in his rebirth. And if previously, for instance, he was the son of a great king, next time he may be born in the house of a pauper. So if he was a perfectly healthy, strong man, next time he may be born without a leg or limbs or eyes and other faculties. He may be born as a stupid thing. So this, they say, is the punishment of his own doings. God is just. But when he does not behave anyway, then the order of his birth is lowered further. Then one fine morning he opens up his eyes after death as a monkey. See, no longer a man. So the monkeys are born. So the order of creation is downward, not upwards. It begins with men, human beings, and begins to travel downwards. So the monkeys sometimes misbehave, you know. So what is that? How can you treat that? So God punished the misbehaving monkeys by, for instance, making hyenas out of them, or dogs, or cats, or even worms. And if it was a stupid monkey, then it was turned into a donkey. A monkey made into a donkey. So this is the justice of Hindu gods. This is the concept of justice. This is how life began to proliferate. Out of our own bad actions, we created lower orders of animals. Right? Now you understand? I hope so.
لقد
Now behave yourself. Be very careful.
لقد قال حضرة أمير المؤمنين وصححني وقال أن هذا المنطق وهذه الاعتقاد هذا الاعتقاد الذي يتخذه الهندوسيين يواجه بعض المشاكل ويحاولون تغطية هذه الأمور بأفكار مختلفة والتي اتخذوها بعد ظهور هذه المشاكل. ولكن قال حضرته إن الله سبحانه وتعالى إذا يخلق الإنسان فسيخلقه كاملا، وإذا كان كاملا أو ليس لديه أي صفات السيئة فكيف يتدهور من مقام إلى مقام أسوأ، فسيكون مقامه دائما على مستوى واحد. ولكن ليس هذا ما يؤمن به الهندوسيين ويقولون أن في البداية الله سبحانه وتعالى خلق 4 أناس أو أشخاص طاهرين لا عيب لديهم، وأنهم احتلوا وكانوا في هضاب التبت العالية وكانوا يشرفون على جميع البلاد. فمن نسل هؤلاء الأشخاص 4 بدأ الخلق يتدهور، أو أن نسل هؤلاء الناس بدأوا يتدهورون من ناحية المقام ومن أعمالهم التي قاموا بها أثناء حياتهم. فمن تلك الأعمال إذا وصل أي شخص من نسل هؤلاء 4 رجال إلى الموت، وبعد موته فإن الله سبحانه وتعالى من وجهة نظر الهندوسيين في عدل الله سبحانه وتعالى إذا أخطأ هؤلاء الناس فإن مقامه سينزل من مقام الإنسان إلى مقام آخر أقل من مقام الإنسان، وقد يكون قردا أو يكون كلبا أو ما شابه ذلك، وذلك حسب الأعمال التي قام بها. وبعد ذلك فإن هذا تناسخ الأرواح الذي يؤمن به الهندوس هو الذي بعد ذلك يبعث مثلا ذلك الإنسان بشكل قرد. وقال حضرة أمير المؤمنين فنحن نعرف القرود قد تخطئ ولا تصغي لبعض الأمور، فماذا يفعل الله سبحانه وتعالى بعد ذلك؟ فردا على ذلك بعد موت ذلك القرد فإن الله سبحانه وتعالى سيحول مقام ذلك القرد إلى مقام أسفل، وقد يجعل منه الكلب أو الهرة أو القطط أو حتى إذا كان قردا سيئا جدا فيجعل منه الحمير، فالقرد يتحول إلى حمار. فهذا العدل الذي ينسبه هؤلاء الهندوسيين إلى الله سبحانه وتعالى. وقد يصل هذا التدهور في المقام إلى أن يصل تلك الحيوانات التي يؤمن هؤلاء الهندوس بالطريقة التي خلقت أنها خلقت من الإنسان، والتي يستهزئ بالهندوس بذلك بعلماء التطور الإنساني والذين يقولون أن الإنسان تطور شيئا فشيئا وأنه صفاته إلى الأحسن وليست إلى الأسوأ. فهؤلاء الهندوس يقولون بالعكس، فإن التطور الإنساني أو التطور لدى الإنسان هو بالعكس إلى الأسفل، قد يصل مقام ذلك القرد الذي تحول من إنسان إلى قرد إلى مقام الديدان وحتى الأميبيا الصغيرة، والتي قد يكون ذلك الرجل الذي لم تكن أعماله جيدة قد يكون في داخل وباطن أولاده أو نسل من نسله الذي جاء بعده. فيقول حضرة أمير المؤمنين أيضا إن الله سبحانه وتعالى يخلق البعوض ويخلق الكلاب ويخلق الأحياء القوية ويخلق منها الغير قوية أي الحيوانات الضعيفة، فكيف ينسبون هنا العدل إلى الله سبحانه وتعالى؟ Did I miss anything?
Anyway, this is a very involved scheme and does not serve any purpose. In fact, it adds the problems, multiplies them, so that they reach a crescendo of stupidity. There is no common sense left in the plan if you analyze it further. You know, if a father, an old man, is very vicious and he has a son who is very pious and holy, the son will be reborn as a human being or even a better quality. The father may be reverted to the status of a dog. So it is just possible that one's father is born in his own house as a dog, and a vicious dog for that matter, who bites. Amazing things happen, in this philosophy. Unbelievable things. So we're not sold to it at all, right?
لقد قال حضرة أمير المؤمنين إن هذا الموضوع يأخذ الناس ويصل بهم إلى السفاهة والعمى في هذا الموضوع، فإن هذا المنطق الذي يتخذه هؤلاء الناس قد يصل إلى حالة مزرية جدا. وقد أعطى حضرته مثال وقال أن إذا كان هنالك والد لديه طبع
A pious father has a holy boy, a good boy, as his son. The son will be born as a human being. The father may be born as a dog, and that boy may be the master of that dog. You see, in his own house, he is keeping his father as a dog. All these things are possible and may happen. You see, that is what I said.
لقد ذكر حضرة أمير المؤمنين وقال إن قد يكون هنالك والد ذو مزاج صعب وليس سهل وله ابن تقي وابن صالح، فبعد موت ذلك الأب فقد يتحول ذلك الأب إلى مقام الكلب أو ما شابه ذلك، وقد يتحول بعد ذلك الولد بعد موته إلى إنسان بنفس الدرجة أو حتى أحسن مقاما إذا كان رجلا تقيا على هذه الأرض حسب اعتقادهم. فقد يكون ذلك الكلب الذي كان في السابق والد ذلك الولد في نفس بيت ذلك الشخص الذي ولد مرة أخرى كإنسان، ويقول حضرة أمير المؤمنين وليس كلب بشكل عادي وإنما كلب أصيب بالصرع. فماذا يكون السيناريو أمام هؤلاء الناس؟
So this is useless. I can discuss it at length for much longer time, and this has no common sense whatsoever. Yet the Western people are fascinated by this philosophy. There are many people born in America and England and elsewhere who are sold to this philosophy because really what they want is a rebirth. Now, because they practically lose faith in God, but they can't lose faith in their own selves. They can't lose the desire to live forever. So it is the desire to gain eternity. This is mentioned in the story of Adam and Eve as well in the New Old Testament. The Satan, in the form of serpent, misled the Eve, that if you eat of the fruit, you will become eternal. And that was the weakness in the human character, even right from the beginning, to desire eternity, on which Satan worked and became successful. So out of a desire to become eternal, never to die, Adam and Eve ate the fruit. So this is the same problem which we face today here in the world. People don't want to believe in a God who would require good deeds from you, but they want to be reborn on this earth. So little do they know the intricacies of this philosophy here. Only what is told to them is, you believe in reincarnation? Would you like to be born again? Would you like to meet the dear ones you lost in previous generations? And here is the opportunity. You believe in it, and then you will be reborn. But why believe in it at all? Because belief is not a condition. You can reject this philosophy, yet if it is true, you will be reborn anyway. But this is the main weakness in the man's desire to live eternally, that makes this philosophy popular even in the Western countries. But when we analyze during my question and answer session, when I analyze it to them, then immediately, you know, they lose interest in this. Please.
ولقد ذكر حضرة أمير المؤمنين وقال أستطيع أن أتحدث بهذا بالنسبة لهذا الموضوع إلى وقت طويل، ولكن هذه الفلسفة لا منطق، المنطق فيها ليس صحيحا بالمرة. ولكن قال حضرته مع ذلك في بعض الدول العربية فإن هنالك بعض الناس الذين يلفتون ويرون هذا الاعتقاد أو هذه الفلسفة فلسفة مميزة، وهؤلاء الناس يخسرون إيمانهم بالله سبحانه وتعالى، ولكن لا يخسرون إيمانهم بأنفسهم والحب في أن يعيشوا عيشة أبدية. وتلك النقطة التي واجهها سيدنا آدم عليه الصلاة والسلام وزوجه، حيث أضل الشيطان زوج سيدنا آدم وقال لها في أن تأكل من تلك الشجرة التي منعت عن أكلها، وكان ذلك السبب في أنها ستمنح الحياة الأبدية. فهذه هي نفس المشكلة التي تواجهنا الآن، فإن هؤلاء الناس يريدون العيش عيشة أبدية على هذه الأرض، فلا يريدون الإيمان بالله الذي يطلب منهم الأعمال الصالحة والحسنة، وإنما يريدون العيش على هذه الأرض بشكل أبدي. فهؤلاء الهندوس يعرضون هذا الاعتقاد وهذه الفلسفة ويقولون: هل تريدون العيش على هذه الأرض بشكل أبدي؟ وهل تريدون أن تعودوا مرة أخرى؟ فعليكم الإيمان بهذا، وأن تروا أحبابكم وأقاربكم الذين لم ترون من قبل، فإذا آمنتم بهذا الاعتقاد فستنالون ذلك. ولكن قال حضرة أمير المؤمنين مع ذلك: إذا لم تؤمن بهذه الفلسفة حتى، فإنك ستعاد مرة أخرى إلى هذه الأرض على أي حال، فلا حاجة في الإيمان بهذا الاعتقاد وهذه الفلسفة.
Now, let's now turn, enough of other religions and other solutions. Let's now turn to the Holy Quran. What does it claim? Does it justify all this, you know, unequal creation and things? First of all, let's refer to the creation of man, not the whole creation as such. The Holy Quran claims وَالتِّينِ وَالزَّيْتُونِ وَطُورِ سِينِينَ أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم وهذا البلد الأمين لقد خلقنا الإنسان من أحسن تقويم. في أحسن تقويم. لقد خلقنا الإنسان في أحسن تقويم ثم رددناه أسفل سافلين إلا الذين آمنوا وعملوا الصالحات. Now, is it something close to Hindu philosophy? First, he made man with asana taqween, then he reverted it to the worst type of things. It does not. It's a different philosophy altogether. It speaks of taqweem, the process of creation, the process of keeping something right and straight. So he said what Allah claims here, that we created you, that is to say the whole life on earth, with the most balanced process of creation, which was rightly balanced and was able to keep you rightly balanced. So that is, in another place, that is why the Holy Quran claims asana sawarakum. هو الذي خلقكم فمنكم كافر ومنكم مؤمن والله بما تعملون بصير خلق السماوات والأرض بالحق وصوركم فأحسن صوركم وإليه المصير. That He it is who gave you shapes and made you beautiful, gave you the most beautiful, attractive shapes. Asana Swarakum. And then the Holy Quran claims that every man, every child which was born on Fitratullah, on Allah's nature, which is the best. So look at man as a physical being. So Asana Sovarakum will declare that man was created beautiful. Look at him internally by nature, and the other verse will come forward to declare that he is made after God himself. How can he be bad? So the one thing which emerges very prominently is that whatever has been created by God has been good. Correct? Why then evil? Who created evil? This is the fundamental question which we must come to tackle. And the answer lies in the fact that you completely misunderstand the scheme of creation and the scheme of good and bad. That is why the objections arise. If you delve deeper into the philosophy of creation and goodness and badness, then you will suddenly realize that your question was unjustified. You see, what is light? It is a positive value. What is darkness? It is a negative value which is created out of lack of light. It does not have to be created independently at all. If you create day only, the night is bound to be born out of the same day. It's impossible to create light and to avoid darkness altogether. So whoever faces towards light, he will receive the light. Whoever faces the other way around, he will see nothing but darkness. So Allah is the only creator. No two creators are required by the plan of things. Logic rejects the idea of two independent creators, one of goodness and one of bad or evil. So remember this first of all. So what is darkness? Absence of light. What is pain? Absence of pleasure and comfort. What is ugliness? Absence of beauty. So what is beauty? Similarity to God, balance and adl. So once you begin to understand these values, more profoundly, a new plan emerges before you. Remember this thing, because I'm going to turn to another question tomorrow, inshallah. Because this is a very vast subject. It's difficult for me to handle it all together, but inshallah we'll succeed ultimately.
Inshallah.
Translation tomorrow?
Inshallah, yes.
Time is over? Yes. The time is over. We have one more day. So I hope inshallah we'll finish a major part of this question by tomorrow.
Inshallah.
Okay?
Inshallah.
Assalamu alaikum.
Wa alaikum assalam wa rahmatullah.
It's good.